everyone and welcome to the Redmen TV. Yes, I'm Steve Hoare, delighted to be joined by Peter Kenny-Jones and by John Reid. Yes, it's Liverpool versus Brentford, the match preview show. Rather, Brentford versus Liverpool. It's an away game. 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. We're going to have a big old chat about it. Just for clarity, and I say this most often because I know some of you guys are watching this later on or listening to this later on. We're doing this show at 10:30am on Friday, so Jurgen Klopp's press conference is later on this morning. I think they've changed their time about 4 different times, so if anything changes between now and then, now you know what's gone on. What isn't going to change, and I'll start with you, Pete, is how big a game this is really. Like, you know, Liverpool's record at Brentford since they've come back up, they've drew and then they've lost. It's been a difficult ground for us to go to, and we're expecting another similar game. I imagine it's going to be a tough one early morning Saturday. Yeah, well, we all know 12:30 on a Saturday is never the ideal time to play, is it? But we haven't come off an international break, so there's a lot less of an excuse this time for as to why we wouldn't want to play it. But yeah, I think Brentford are always a good team, but playing them at their place is hard. And then now Ivan Toney's back and seemingly with a point to prove of looking for a move, it's a lot of worries on top of each other, isn't it? But you know, every Liverpool fan's probably talk about the League Cup final, but we all know that the bread and butter, as they always say, is try to win the league. And we've got two big games against teams on paper we should win, but they're not going to be easy, either of them. And obviously it starts with Brentford, and just hope we get the win. Absolutely. We also want Liverpool and what they might do in a moment, John. I always start with the opposition first. Brentford have been they're having it depends. Like, is 14th place a bad season for Brentford? I think we've actually half expected a little bit better of them. They had a really poor run. A lot of it was injury related, and of course Ivan Toney was out. Since he's come back, they've picked up a couple of points. They got a win the other day as well against Wolves. They're on 25 points, so it's not, they're about probably where you'd expect them to be considered anywhere without their best player for so long. They pose a very specific threat. I was thinking the other day, and I described them as like a really modern version of like Stoke, in which, I mean, they can play and they can properly play, but also they do you on set plays. They have specific game plans. They did City with one. It was a goal kick they did City with. Like, they are, you know, Thomas Frank is meticulous when it comes to set plays. They've killed us on set plays. You know, last season they could have scored like 5. You know, the couple of offsides go against us. Liverpool were all over the place. It is like a very unique challenge going to Brentford. It was similar, you know, going to Stoke used to be mad, or like going to Burnley. You'd expect a different type of game. They're technically better than those teams, but they still offer you those, you know, the long throws and the corners and the set plays, and they're really good at it. And Liverpool, you know, twice under this management, under Thomas Frank and Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool struggled to get the job done down there.
Yeah, they're really a team of moments, aren't they? I can't think of a team other than maybe Villa who was so good sort of playing on the counter, but as you say, sort of set plays and stuff as well. Like, they're so well rehearsed, and like, you know, just the size of them, to be honest, that they're probably one of the most physical teams in the league, and I don't mean that in a bad way, just as in like the size of them. You know, they're all team of giants.
Design as well, like that's what he signs. Like, right, so yeah,
it's what he goes for, and I just think it's such a. It's almost like he's took all the best bits of like Premier League football from like 2000 to 2010 and just distilled it into like one team. And as you say, that's not to do them down in terms of playing football either. They are like a really solid football team, but you've just got to hope. I mean, I think for them, it's obviously, as you say, like, we've not won at their place yet, but it's been a weird season, just obviously missing him up front. Obviously, they always seem to sell a player in the summer as well. So, and they've had a lot of injuries and a lot of knocks and stuff. So, you know, I don't think they've really had probably many games this season where they've been able to sort of put their full team out and sort of play, I think, how he would like them to play. So to be where they are is probably quite decent, just in terms of like turnover of games and stuff this season. But they're still very much a threat. I mean, that City game, there was a spell from sort of like 60 to 75 where they were on top. And like, you know, you like obviously City still going to win, but they can do anyone on the day, really. And like, as you say, like that in much in the same way we have it with Anfield, their ground is such a, you know, like an extra lift for them, isn't it? You know, that's it. Their home games really will get them through a season.
Yeah, I suppose like, credit to them, Pete, because no Toney for a while. They lost Visa through injury, and he's a really good player. Do you have, you know, like, they've managed to get themselves, listen, they're only 6 points clear of relegation, which is, you know, it isn't massive, but also the 14th, there's a lot of teams battling down there as well. Like, to be fair to Thomas Frank, he's done quite well. He's done it differently this year. I think he took the league by storm a little bit the first year, second year as well. This year's been a little bit different, but, you know, I think if you take the best two attacking options out of most Premier League teams, they would really, really struggle. So now he's got one of them back. Like 14th might even be a bit of a false position. He probably could be, pushing up towards mid-table if they have everyone back fit and available. So that does go to show like the task that Liverpool have got here. If Liverpool away to the 14th, 6 points above the relegation zone feels, oh yeah, that should be all right. But actually, with it being Brentford, it is a different story.
Yeah, but I think they're also a team that everyone kind of likes, which I think is quite a credit to Thomas Frank and the job he's doing. And also, he's by no means the favourite, but there's people looking for who our next manager's going to be, and he's in the conversation. He's not like being shouted, but there's whispers about him, isn't there? And that shows how good of a job he's doing. And I think, what makes a good manager is turning average players into good. And you look at Neil Maupay, I think the Everton fans were probably celebrating as he was driving up the training ground for the last time, and now he's scoring for fun, isn't he? So, if you can see that in a player, and obviously he played there before, so it's easier, but if you can see that in a player and get the best out of a player who's struggling elsewhere, it shows you're a good manager. And I think, it's definitely going to be a tough game against a side, as I say, who, as you said there, sorry, there's probably a false position that they're in at the moment. And when they were playing City, obviously it's because they beat them home and away last year, but as a fan myself, I was thinking there's a chance they can get a result here. So if I'm thinking that against City, then you've got to think exactly the same against us, and hopefully we manage to get the 3 points. But there's a fear about them and an appreciation about them that doesn't just happen for nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the context of the game, then before we speak, John, about Liverpool, as we know, Liverpool go into the weekend top of the Premier League table on 54 points. Manchester City second on 52 points with that game in hand. Ironically, it's against Brentford as well. Arsenal then sitting third on 52 points, so 2 points behind us. 24 games played as well. Now, if you look at the fixtures, and we'll speak about at the end of the show, City and Chelsea. City play Chelsea at home. Arsenal play home against Burnley. Now, we're the only one with an away game there of the three. If you're a Chelsea fan or a City fan, you're thinking that you pinpoint that as a game as that might be one. Sorry, or an Arsenal fan, that might be a game where Liverpool can drop points here. Because Pete's right, we'd be doing the same. If Arsenal were going to Brentford at half 12 or City were going to Brentford at half 12, now you'd probably still think they were going to win, but you wouldn't be nailing it down as that banker. So it is right. That just goes to show, it is a very dangerous game for Liverpool. They can't take the eye off the ball. There is a cup final coming down the road and stuff, but this is a tough one.
It is, and it's one of them ones. I think now where we're entering that part of the season where it's no longer about style, is it? It's more about just putting points on the board and stuff and keeping the running going. They're a team that sort of give you lots of different challenges, and some of the people we're missing, I think particularly Szoboszlai, for me would be a bit of a worry just in terms of the middle of the park and just sort of making sure they don't get the turnovers and stuff. But he'll have options, I think, the manager, which I think will help him a lot with this. Obviously, we've got the game coming up midweek as well, but I think being able to sort of change things from the bench and sort of just keep legs fresh, I think is probably the most important thing for me going into it, just in terms of, as I say, they're a really physical team, and particularly as well, obviously touch wood, it doesn't happen, but if we go behind first, they're a team that won't give you nothing as well. They're very good at sort of just putting men behind the ball. So we'll need, I think, sort of a bit of everything. Hopefully we go ahead first, and just take the game away from them. But it's one of those really tricky fixtures. I think we started by talking about them in terms of Stoke and stuff from years ago. But I agree. I think there's such a weird nut to crack, and we had it a bit with Burnley under Jurgen, where the first couple of times we played Burnley, they sort of did us, or we struggled, and then all of a sudden you seemed to get it, and then from then on we were fine. I don't know if we're quite there yet with Brentford, but as you say, they're a team that can give anyone problems. So I just think it's one of them games where we just need to go and just be at it really, and just flat track bully it. Absolutely.
We'll speak to Liverpool now again to clarify. We're doing this before the press conference, so if anything changes between now and then, I do apologise. Not much we can do about it when Liverpool changed the time of that press conference 55 million times. As it stands, we believe, just to go through it, we believe Trent is out. He's going to miss the cup final as well. Dom Szoboszlai hasn't trained all week, so there's a very good chance he's out. He's pushing for that cup final. Salah has been training, so we're going to presume he's back. Whether he's available to start, we don't know, but we're going to presume he's back. He was training on Tuesday, so you'd think he's there. Conor Bradley's back as well. Ibu Konate is no longer suspended. So base it all on that kind of stuff. Let's try and pick a Liverpool team, because this is interesting in that Jürgen specifically mentioned the last two times he's played Brentford, he's put Cody Gakpo in midfield, And he's literally said, yeah, because we need big players. A lot of it was set-piece defending and attacking and just the physicality of the game. They were both home games, it's worth mentioning. But he referenced, like, you know, that's why he's there, basically. That's why I didn't play. I could have played Elliott, but, you know, I wanted Cody Gakpo in midfield. So that is something that we're going to have to consider here when we're talking through this team in a moment. Yeah, you're going to specifically change this team to deal with these in the past, so there's no reason why he won't do it again.
Yeah. Well, I think, obviously, as you said there, and I think Gomez and Alisson come back from illness as well, isn't there? So obviously to have Alisson back is a huge boost, because as much as Kelleher saved us twice, literally against Burnley, having Alisson's already a massive boost for them all. And then I think Conor Bradley coming back in, the fact that Trent's injured isn't good for anyone except probably Conor Bradley, and not only just because it takes a bit of pressure off him, because if you're Conor Bradley taking the place of Trent Alexander-Arnold, then there's a lot of pressure on you. But if he's out injured, it almost like gives him room to breathe. We've been told he's out for the cup final, so if you're Conor Bradley now, you've got 3 games in the next 8 days, ends in Wembley, hopefully winning your first cup as a Liverpool player, and there's not that pressure of maybe getting dropped out. Obviously, you could put Gomez there, and he still has to perform well, but I think that removing that pressure will definitely help him. And then, as you say, in the midfield, we'll need to be tall, we'll need to be physical. I would, you know, if it's not Gakpo, it could be Gravenberch in terms of height, because physicality as well is important. Then I think if you got, I'd still say Salah would probably be on the bench. If he does play Gakpo in the midfield, then you've still got an attacking option off there, which might make it easier for him. But yeah, I think I'd still go with Núñez, Jota and Diaz up front, and then it's always about the midfield, isn't it? I think Endo and McAllister might be a shout just because they get the tackles in, which then means you need the height of Gakpo or Gravenberch. That's the only issue. But yeah, I think other than that, it's not too hard to pick. It's just a midfield, I think, which he has got
options though. To be fair, let's start. Obviously, Alisson's going to play in goal. We know that. Let's start at the back. Konate's going to come in. We know that. He's got an interesting decision to make a full back. Like I say, Gomez, Bradley, and Andy Robertson and Kostas Tsimikas are all available for this one. So he's actually got four options how he wants to use this. I think we can probably leave Kostas out. I wouldn't be shocked if he started midweek against Luton. But there is a world where he can play Gomez at left back and play Bradley. He can go Gomez at right back. He can do whatever he wants. Going back to the point before, John, about the set play defending and whatever, I'd be half shocked if Gomez isn't in. It's deciding which side you want him on is the option. Does he play right back and Robertson plays left back, or does he play left back and Bradley plays right back? I think he's going to go Gomez right back with Robertson left back personally. Okay. With a view of Conor Bradley starting at home against Luton in midweek. But listen, Bradley's been fantastic. Milan in the chat here says, you know, I'd have him as our first choice right now. He's been fantastic. You know, player of the month for January. He is making a really strong case for himself. So how do you see the manager dealing with the full-back situation?
I do think Gomez starts whatever happens.
I agree.
For me, I think he'd probably put him at left back, just because you've got, in terms of how he sets up, then you've got the opportunity then for Bradley to go forward. But I just mean in terms of balance on that right side. I think there's been games, obviously with Salah not being here as well, where that right side weirdly has actually looked more balanced almost by having Bradley there. So I wonder whether just in terms of keeping the team sort of ticking over, if you like, he does that. Not to in any way disrespect Luton midweek, if you like, but just for keeping that. I do think you'll probably see all three of them. At some point, I think Robbo will be on the pitch at some point during the game, and then at that point maybe then he puts Gomez right back. But I think it'll probably start for me. I think with him at left back and Bradley at right back.
What do you think, Peter?
Yeah, I agree. To be honest, yeah, I think as you say, obviously with Robertson coming back from injury as well, we kind of put the 11 people that could play on the pitch against Burnley, didn't we? I think, you know, it was his first start in 4 months or something for Robbo. So I think just to let him know you're coming on at the hour mark, and then we'll try and get you through Luton and then get you through to the cup final, because obviously he's who he's probably won at left back. And also Gomez deserves it. I think we said against Chelsea, you know, it all kind of went a bit wrong against Arsenal and against Burnley in terms of team selection wise. I think we all would have said Bradley and Gomez deserve to be rewarded with more game time, and for illness and obviously horrible personal reasons for Bradley to take them two out the team, it seems unfair that they lose their place. So yeah, I'd agree. I'd start Gomez left back and Bradley right back.
So I think he'll go the other way. It's difficult though, isn't it, John? Because if they're going to stick to the system they've used recently, they play 3 centre backs and 2 wing backs. So Reguilon played left wing back both games against Wolves and against Manchester City. It's whether you say, I'm all right with that, and we'll try and get Conor Bradley to push him back the other way. It is difficult. If you go Bradley and Gomez. I think Gomez will play. I think you're right. There's no wrong answer. It's a good problem to have. Yeah. My thinking on that is, I think he might go Bradley and Tsimikas in midweek against Luton with a view, then all four of them have had a run before the final kind of thing. If Gomez plays left back, you're almost telling Kostas Tsimikas he's like third choice left back now, and there's a squad dynamic to this as well, kind of thing. It is what it is. He's come back from injury. He'll have to deal with it, but it's a good problem to have for the manager. Really, he like Peter do they like Trent probably didn't want to play that game against the Burnley. He's probably half fit. Unfortunately, it's proven that he's injured now. Yeah, the manager had to get out. We could get out. Now it's the other way around. He's got an abundance of options for him. Like, his head must be spinning a little bit. Like he's going from not feast to famine almost, or famine to feast in this instance. Yeah,
I mean, I think honestly, it all depends on sort of how Brentford set up. My main thing on it is I just think if they're going to start with Mopé and Tony, you want three. So if you have your three centre backs, even though Gomez would be playing left back, you can sort of at least always have sort of cover. You
can almost match them and almost become a back three with the wing backs like that, which is what they're going to do, I suppose.
Robertson obviously does give you that cover just in terms of recovery pace as well. In terms of if City do play on the break and Tony gets away. So it's one of them where like I can sort of make the case for either. Yeah. As you say, in terms of the squad dynamic and stuff, you obviously want everybody fit and sort of everybody happy, particularly just given how sort of the next 8 days goes. But I don't know, it's a tough one. My only thing with I say picking Gomez is I just think of the physicality. I just think he's probably a slightly more, we were talking about set plays earlier, I think he's probably a slightly more robust presence than Robertson.
I'd 100% have him in. It's just which side. And we'll find out later, I suppose. Let's go to midfield then, because this is the interesting part. He has got loads of options. I'll stick with you, John. Number 6 is the first one, really. My guess is that he'll want Jones in, and he'll want one of Gravenberch or Gakpo in the other. I think he will go for the height thing. I don't think he will go Endo and McAllister. I think it'll be Jones and a Gravenberch or a Gakpo or something. I think, given what he's done against Brentford in the past, so therefore he's got a decision to make maybe at 6. I mean, he could go McAllister further forward, and that's on the cards. But I don't know. How do you see him doing? Let's start with the number 6 role. Is it one of both of these two for you, or is it both? Because going back to the height thing, it seems a bit counterproductive that he's always talked about height against Brentford and then playing both of them when they're not both that tall. No, Endo's good in the air, but how do you see him doing the midfield number 6 stuff?
I think it all depends sort of on what team he's picking looking forward. So I think he'd be looking at Luton and thinking that's probably a game where I need Endo, just in terms of turnovers in midfield and stuff, and maybe like sort of trying to keep Ross Barkley contained. So for this, I think it might be a game where he thinks, all right, as you say, if I put Gravenberch and Gakpo as the 2 and I put McAllister as the 6, he's a bit smaller, but he's very mobile. He can get round, he can move the ball. He's got bigger people around him, kind of thing. And then I've got the opportunity then to keep him fresh for the following weekend. So I think he will start just one. I think he'll start McAllister, and then I think he'll have Jones. And then I'm torn between Gakpo and Gravenberch, but I think probably Gakpo just based on sort of like recent form and stuff.
Okay. I think McAllister will play the 6 as well, Pete.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
I think Endo will play, yeah. Just because of, I think we saw that run in December, January, where he started like the 8-9 games in a row, whatever it was. And I think, although we've all had a week break, I just think he's the best, probably the fittest option in the midfield.
Does McAllister play as well for you?
I think so, yeah. Okay. But like, I'm not like you've said about the height, and Gakpo or Gravenberch obviously have more. If I was just picking the midfield today, I'd still go Endo, McAllister and Jones just to give it. But then again, we've got games coming up, we've got massive games, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe a Gravenberch gets to go, as you say, because of physicality reasons. But I suppose if I was picking it, I'd still put, I think, because McAllister is obviously has operated as a 6, and his tackling and anything's got better and better, so I think he can help with turnovers in the middle, and then Jones can do the running for him. And then obviously if it goes wrong, which it always seems to be by half time, that we need to make a change, so maybe then you bring Gakpo or Gravenberch on to change it. But yeah, I wouldn't be upset with any of the options, and I feel like Harvey Elliott deserves a mention. He came on at half time, got man of the match the other day, so if there's ever a reason to start him,
I think if it was anyone else, he might be in the mix.
Yeah,
I do think
height in it, but yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I think the only one I think I can nail in starting is Jones, which is mad. Like if you said this a few weeks, like months ago, maybe but that's been the case for a while now. I don't know. Like, I think Jones is the one I'm 100% certain will start,
especially without Szoboszlai as well. Yeah, because he does the running, doesn't he? Yeah.
The rest of it is a little bit like up in the air, really, which is, again, not a bad problem to have. Szoboszlai will play if he's fit. Obviously, he's unavailable now, so we think anyway. It is again, it's whether you go horse for courses, you pick who's in form. If you're picking in form, it would probably, Elliott would be on the pitch. Just no doubt about it, but it depends, again, how he's looking at this situation, the skill set Brentford, the fact that there's 3 games in a week with a cup final on the back of it as well. There's a lot for the manager to weigh up here.
There is, and you know, we know sort of like when you plan a season, particularly, you know, because not least because he's mentioned it in press conferences that he will have a team sort of, I think, in mind already for like the final and stuff, and sort of where he wants to go with that, and work back from that. But also just in terms of things like recovery and stuff and getting players back, so you know he'll have a plan, say, for Mo Salah to be as ready as possible, say, for the final, even though he's not played a game yet since he come back. So it's just sort of what fits, I think. But you know, I think what he's been really good at this season, the manager, is the subs. And actually, I think probably the games where we've sort of struggled in the last couple has been actually he's got the subs not right, and that's mainly been through injury and stuff because we haven't had people available. So I think if you're looking at someone like an Elliott, or if you're looking at someone, you know, maybe like an Endo, and just saying, you know, look, I'm not picking you for whatever reason, kind of thing. But in terms of the squad morale, you just go, but there's a game in 4 days, and you're going to play that one. And by the way, you're probably going to feature for 40 minutes, maybe, you know, in the next game after that, and like play a key role. So I don't think it's in the past, I think if certain players were dropped, you would look at it and think, oh, it's a shame you're not going to see them for a bit. I think Elliott and people like Gomez now, and Endo as well, as a 3, you're going to see all 3 of them, you know, over the next couple of matches, I think, at some point or another. And as you say, in terms of Jones, I mean, I just think the job he's done for the team, you know, again, sort of almost like, I think there was a big spell of giving Gomez his flowers and saying, you know, I can't believe how well he's done, and you know, he's performed great. Same with Jones lately, you know, going to right back and stuff, you know, in the last couple of games and things like that, and just the performance he's been putting in, he 100% deserves his place.
I suppose as well, when there is so many midweek games coming up now, because obviously there's the Luton game, then there's a cup game, the Europa League's on its way back soon as well. It does allow you to keep the squad positive. What would you do then if you were picking a midfield 3? If you're Jurgen Klopp now going, here's how I'm going to play Brentford tomorrow, what would your 3 be, John?
I'd have McAllister at 6. I would start Jones ahead of him, and I think I would probably be positive and start Gakpo with the aim of he's a midfielder, but if we break and he can arrive late, if you like, kind of thing in the area, you know, then we've got a front 4.
What would you, Peter? You'd go Endo McAllister, I'm guessing.
Endo McAllister Jones, I'd say, but as you said, I'm not going to be crying if any of the other 3 options are on the pitch.
If Gravenberch was in good form, this would be an easier conversation to have because he'd just be in. I think I would go McAllister, Jones. I'd still consider Elliott, I think, and have Gakpo in my front 3 if I'm worried about the height. Potentially is, but yeah, it's a difficult one. Let's talk about that front 3 then. We don't know yet, by the way. We're saying again how Salah is, if he's fit to go, if he's fit to start, whatever. He's been training since Tuesday, so you'd imagine he's going to be involved in some regard. This is another one, really, John. This is another difficult one, really, because again, 3 from 5, you can make a case for any of them, really. The only one I can see defo starting, actually, ironically, is Darwin, and then work back from there. Yeah. What would you do? How do you think he's going to set the front 3 up?
I think you've just got to pick your best numbers and what's been working from you. So I don't think Salah starts. I think you probably, if you do see him, you'll see him from the bench. I think Núñez is a cert. For me, I think Jota's a cert.
Should be.
I just think the only question for me is what you do with Diaz and Gakpo.
Or Salah.
Or Salah, but in terms of if Gakpo starts, does he start in the front 3, as you've just said, or does he start in midfield and Diaz is ahead of him, kind of thing? I think in terms of form, I'd probably give it to Diaz, just in terms of keeping that going. But I'm conscious that Gakpo can do sort of more jobs for it, if you like. I mean, like I say, you might still start Gakpo in midfield, kind of thing. Yeah. But no, I think Jota and Núñez picked themselves personally, and then I just think it's that last position is the only one where he might sort of have a little bit of an headache.
Yeah, okay, we're doing this a bit blind, people. I mean, you tell Mo Salah he's on the bench. Good luck with that. You know what I mean? Like if he's done 4 training sessions and is declared fit, I mean, Jurgen surely will. I know you've got to be careful with hamstrings and stuff, but what do you do? Do you give him half an hour now with a view, or do you go, you know what, you will start you and take you off? Is he fully fit? Because he's a machine. You know, Liverpool have had reoccurrences of injuries. Alexander-Arnold, Szoboszlai, kind of Thiago, different injury, but maybe on the back of another one. Yeah. So that will be in the manager's mind as well with Salah. Like, it's a strange dynamic, really, what you're going to do with him, because he's so good. Like, you don't really want him on the bench, but you've got to look after him as well. It's a difficult one for the manager, really.
Yeah, well, I think a lot was made about Haaland and De Bruyne coming back, and whether it's just from our side that we're not seeing it as much, but there doesn't seem to be anywhere near as much fanfare about the fact that the best creative player in the league, well, maybe again you can argue with the other two from City, but certainly our best goal scorer, and he's provided enough assists, is back this weekend, we think. So that should be a massive boost, whatever it is. 100%. Personally, I'd put him on the bench and say to him, I don't want to bring you on because we don't want to, what's happened, as you said, to Trent, to Szoboszlai, to Thiago, we've rushed it. If we're 3-0 up, you'll get nowhere near that pitch, and then we'll give you either start you, give you the hour against Luton and take it off, or see what happens. But yeah, personally, I'd just say that to Salah, like, you're there if we need you. If it's tight, if there's half an hour to go, get him on the pitch. But my choice would be, I think Núñez and Diaz should start, especially with their back today. I think their pace out wide will test them, and then it's who you put through the middle, I think. And obviously, I'm not saying Jota's not playing well at all. I just think maybe putting a Gakpo in can help occupy it today, because he can collect the ball, maybe keep it moving better. And then if you are attacking the game, the options of having Jota and Salah off the bench, if we're hopefully not, per se, we're 1-0 down, touch wood, or we're drawing, I think that's that changed the game more, I think, than bringing a Gakpo on trying to get the win. So that's probably what I'd go for. Yeah,
we're selling manager going, I think Gakpo will start somewhere. I just whether he's in midfield on the right or on the left, you can play. You've got so many options. I think the manager might want him on the pitch. Well, I'll come to score predictions and such a little bit later on, guys. But as I always do on this show, just gonna have a little look around the Premier League in general before we do that. Obviously, in terms of the title race. Obviously Liverpool, Brentford, like Brentford, Liverpool. I mentioned before Arsenal, so I do apologise. I said Arsenal were at home, they go to Burnley. I do apologise. Arsenal go to Burnley at 3 o'clock tomorrow as well. I mean, we're not holding any hope there really, are we, John? Burnley are poor at the moment.
Yeah, they've had a little bit of a lease of life, I think, just in terms of getting that Fofana lad in from Chelsea, but it's hard, isn't it? Because I feel for them only in the sense of like no one wants that as a season, really. No one wants that season where you just get hammered every week. But I just don't see anything from that personally.
No, they're a big team's dream, aren't they? Because they're not scared to play their own game, which you see like Klopp, and I'm sure Arteta will say the same after they play great football. But when you're someone who's got the ball and someone's trying to beat you, we know how much easier it is.
It's so open,
I just think, it's just, and then that keeper doesn't like to come out for crosses or knows what he's doing for crosses, and they've got some big players, but Arsenal win that one.
I think Arsenal win. Then the other one, obviously, City host Chelsea 5:30. The game was a 4-4 recently, the last time they played. John, Chelsea have seemed to turn a little bit of a corner. They're not playing particularly well, but results are half going their way a little bit. They come back the other day against Crystal Palace. They got battered by us at Anfield, which is where, you know, the scoreline half flattered them a little bit. I mean, City are on the roll. They're doing the City thing. They keep winning and winning. They're losing a couple of players to injury. Grealish went out the other day, but it feels like their machine's starting to roll now. Is this one where you're half looking at going, maybe? At least Chelsea are the stature of club, at least, where maybe they can cause a problem. How are you seeing City v Chelsea?
I think sort of like your sort of head tells you that obviously City should do the business.
Chelsea had a proper goal threat.
Yeah. But I think my heart's just because it's Poch as well. I just think that I mean, there's definitely something in, you know, Sterling playing and getting a goal, isn't the kind of thing. You got to think that's a narrative sort of there.
Cole Palmer,
exactly. But the weird Chelsea, I think, at the minute, because they've got a lot of players. I think if you were to sort of pick their team on paper, you wouldn't actually. It's not actually the team that would do anything for you, because I think that's sort of the team he was picking at the start of the season, and then he's found now sort of the lads who maybe aren't the big names, like your Gallagher's, you know, your Cole Palmers of the world, who are actually doing the business for him. And it's just, if you can sort of put all that together, if you like, in a mix, because I still couldn't pick yet any of their front six. And I think, didn't they lose Thiago Silva as well to injury the other day? So
that might have been the worst one, by the way. It wasn't on the best season, Thiago. But like I said, they got battered by us, then they get battered by Wolves. It's like Poch is going to go, and then they go to Villa in the FA Cup and win, and then they go to Palace and turn it around with about 2 consecutive 3-1s. They're a very enigmatic team. It's hard to know what you're going to get from them, which, if you're looking at someone who, like, we're neutrals in this, but we're not, we want them to win. It's hard to hang it out on anything really, because you think they've got players, but also, oh my god, they're a bit shit as well. It's a really difficult one.
It's all about the vibes, I think, with Poch at the minute. Just getting to the end of the season, but no, it's such a weird one, and I just think what you need in that game really is a big performance from someone. You need like a Caicedo or a Cole Palmer to sort of stand up and just be like, right, I'm going to run. He had a little bit, even though the game was done, sort of with Fernandes when he scored the third goal against Palace. That felt a little bit like, right, we're here, we're back, kind of thing, watching it, but just see what happens.
To the way, I suppose, Peter's like, this is where you know, if once you've been away in Europe and then you've got to play again on the Saturday, that's the only thing sometimes that can hurt you. Now, City have been really good at it. They won a treble. Like, they're used to it, don't get me wrong, and they've got options. But, Copenhagen actually give them a bit of a game at certain points of that one. You know, they got back to, obviously, they got it level a bit. City get that third very late on. Maybe that's something again. I'm just thinking of anything, really, because I'm fully expecting Burnley and Chelsea to lose. I'm expecting Arsenal and City to win, but maybe. I don't know.
Well,
you're saying there's a chance
we
that
already,
Jim Kerry meme?
We already know that we've got to be nearly perfect if we want to win the league, and we need help from anyone who can give it to us. And if you're looking at teams who might win against Man City, then Chelsea are top of the list, but they're not. They're a lot higher up than a lot of other teams who can play. So, if we need a favour from someone, and hopefully, after we've battered them at Anfield and then hopefully we beat them in the League Cup final, maybe Chelsea can give us the perfect, whatever it is, 2.5 weeks, and I'm going to get a result off City as well. But yeah, I think, that Palace game, they stayed in it. I suppose Gallagher gets his first 2 goals of the season, doesn't he? And then, as you say, Enzo Fernandez takes his goal quite well. So they're going to be on a high, and as you say, City will be a bit weary-legged maybe. Unfortunately, they've got a huge squad of players who can help them, but so have Chelsea, haven't they? But that doesn't always work in your favour. But yeah, I think we've got to try and be quite positive, because there are too many other teams in the league that will be more hopeful of getting a result against City. So just fingers crossed everything goes their way.
Yeah, fingers crossed Liverpool can do the business early on Saturday, and then Chelsea maybe do us a little favour later on. And I remember back in the day, if it was at Stamford Bridge, maybe you'd have more of a chance. The fact that it's at the Etihad, City's record at home is it's fantastic. But that being said, Liverpool need to get their job done first, John. That's the obvious thing. Do you think they will?
I think we will. I think, obviously, in terms of weight and numbers, I think we've got a much bigger sort of pool to pull from. I think injuries have really hampered Brentford this season. They're missing, I don't think Wiss is back. I don't think he's back from AFCON, but I don't think he's played, if you like. So they're just really lacking for pace at the minute, which I think kills them a little bit in terms of how they play. So, like,
Mopé's had a little revival, but yeah, it's not the same. You're right.
No, I just think it's weirdly like things like you said, like the wing backs. Like they lost is it Henry, the lad who plays wing back for them, and it just seems to have just really.
To have bad luck.
It's really bad luck in terms of injuries, in terms of like the key players in that system that he wants. But bringing Tony back has at least helped with that and mitigated a bit. So obviously they still carry the threat. But I think this might be a sort of the third time of asking, might actually be the one where we go and do it. And obviously that's exactly what we want.
Yeah. But yeah, just you just got to hope we win. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just we've pretty much got to win every single game that comes our way. It feels like the title running gets earlier and earlier and earlier, doesn't it? And we're in the middle of February, and it already feels like it's the first team to blink and the other ones take advantage of it. Then that's what maybe decides the title even this early, because we could win every game after this. If we lose this one, it could be enough to see us not get for. Obviously, we still playing City, but yeah, we just got to win. That's all it is. I hate predicting it, but yeah, I think we should win. So therefore, yes, possibly we will win.
I think it'll be a dog of a game.
Yeah,
I think come 85 minutes, we are going to be on the edge of our seat. Whether that means we're chasing a goal to win or we're holding on for one. I said 2-1. But like a nervous one. I wouldn't even be shocked if we do. I think it's going to be a tight game.
Yeah.
I think they just, that's the game they want, and they tend to get things going their way. But I do think Liverpool will win, but I think it's going to be a hard graft.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of them games where I think if it's sort of 1-1 on 60, I'm a little worried. Like, as in nervous kind of thing. And similarly, I could see it being that, like, we go 2-0 up, and then they score on 75, and you're a bit like, right, just I don't care who you put on the pitch, just put as many big lads on behind the ball as possible.
Bombs away is coming in.
Yeah, I think we've just got to win. I just can't be bothered with the first half where we look terrible and hang on a bit, and then we think just praying for the half-time whistle for Klopp to come and just have a way with them. Hopefully we can just start a game well for once.
Do you think we should just tell them?
It's half-time.
Just whatever you do at half-time, just do that before the game.
Yeah. Have some oranges. Before.
Have some oranges and just do whatever it takes, because we seem to be a much better player. Very quickly, by the way, Dogo Jota has just been named Player of the Month for January in the Premier League, so Good luck. Congratulations to Diogo on that one. Maybe that
It's his FIFA card sorted, isn't it?
he'll have himself in his FIFA. I'm sure he already has as well. That's probably what he's doing right now, setting that up. Right, guys, thanks so much for joining us for this one. If you want even more Redmen content in and around the Brentford game, come and join us on Saturday morning for the watch along. Yes, we'll be live at 11:15. That's so early UK time for the uncensored match build up as the team news is announced, and then from 12:15 onwards with the watch along. So come and join us for all of that amazing stuff, and we'll see you all on Saturday. See you in a bit.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out the content today. If you want to get your name in and amongst these wonderful people, then head to redmenplus.com. Join as a Legend tier subscriber. You're going to get free merchandise codes. You're going to get in our Discord, and you're going to get your name at the end of YouTube videos. Yes, redmenplus.com, Legend tier status.